Hello everyone, and this is my review for Monday Night Raw on June 30th, 2014. And, let's just call this night the night of the returns, because of, you had the Great Khali finally come back. That's nothing big or anything, and they used him to play off the whole Stephanie McMahon getting mad at Damien Sandow for impersonating her father, and also further the Battle Royal because they had to the Intercontinental Championship Battle Royal because they had to strip Wade Barrett of the Intercontinental title because of his injuries or his injury to his shoulder. So that was not really big, but you had later in the show the return of AJ Lee. And she basically did what she did, or what Paige did to her the night after WrestleMania. Goaded her into a Divas title match. AJ wins. She's the new Divas champion. And you know what? This is not necessarily a bad thing. It was maybe it could just lead into a fun feud between the two of them here, because 1-1, each of them have goaded each other into the match, and each of them have ended out winning one. So you obviously got to do some kind of feud out of this, at least somewhere down the road, and it should be an interesting one to watch. And the other returns you had the return of The Miz. I liked how he was trying to play off as a complete heel here. Miz has always worked better as a heel than he ever has as a face, so he was coming off a lot better this time on the show. I've always been somewhat of a fan of The Miz. I think he's been good on the mic. He's relatively good in the ring as well. Maybe not full on main eventing every show type of talent, but he's definitely a top talent that they have. And then his subsequent interruption with the return of Chris Jericho, which of course got a massive pop. No one, not too many people probably realized he was coming back onto the show, and you could definitely tell from the crowd just because of the pop he ended up getting. It felt more of a surprise he's here at that point, and it really came off. It just came off great. I liked how he, of course, downplays The Miz in there. He plays, of course, the typical type of babyface, trying to downplay the heel who's just returning and trying to, talk down to the fans at that time. So that came off really well. And then, of course, a second interruption, and in a way almost an overbooked segment, but comes off really well. And hopefully they're playing off of this to be a feud with Chris Jericho and Bray Wyatt, because the interruption with the Wyatt family, of course, them beating down Jericho in there, just came off really good there. Everything was pretty well timed with that, and it was a really fun segment to watch. And also, of course, it seems as if they're going to at least be keeping Harper and Rowan facing the Usos for the time, with the six-man tag match with the Usos and Sheamus and the Wyatt family. Of course, them putting over the Wyatt family in this match, that came off as a very, very entertaining match throughout the night. And you did have some other very good matches on there. That's been one thing that's really been upped on Raw and WWE as of late, is their match quality. Maybe some of their storylines are just complete garbage, but match quality overall has been it's been increasing over the past months, and that's definitely one good sign of maybe a potentially better show down the road. And some of their storylines are really good, and a lot of them are not, and some of them are just complete utter wastes of time. They obviously are still they're playing up something with the Bella Twins, and obviously Stephanie trying to punish Nikki Bella for having Brie backstage at the pay-per-view and everything. So they have the match with the Funkadactyls, the handicap match with the Funkadactyls, and then of course they're trying to play off Naomi and Cameron splitting up at that time. So you have double kind of storylines going there, and it's interesting that they're trying to run more storylines with the Divas, maybe just because they actually have the time to do it with Raw, I don't know, but you see them definitely playing off that a lot more. I'm liking with I like the Seth Rollins deal. And I'm hoping they keep him with Dean Ambrose at least for another couple pay-per-views, maybe even something with Battleground, and then going into the SummerSlam pay-per-view. Maybe they'll just have them both be in the Intercontinental Championship Battle Royal, and they can further the feud there, leading into like their actual one-on-one match with SummerSlam. But we'll see where they actually go with the Seth Rollins Dean Ambrose storyline, which also played off the aspect that I don't know how many times they're going to go ahead and do it with this briefcase this time around, but usually they tease the cashing in of the briefcase a lot over the period until it's actually cashed in. They, of course, played it off, just the night after the pay-per-view, where it seemed like Cena was in the vulnerable position, and you have Seth Rollins coming out and attempting to cash in the Money in the Bank contract, obviously getting thwarted by Dean Ambrose, and they couldn't actually go through with it. And, then at the beginning of the show, of course, announcing that there was going to be a Fatal 4-Way at the Battleground pay-per-view with Cena, Reigns, Randy Orton, and Kane. That Fatal 4-Way could be a really fun match. It'll be interesting to see how they play it off. It's probably pretty obvious the way they're going to play it off. They're going to make it seem like Randy Orton and Kane are going to work together, while Cena and Reigns are kind of lone wolves, not really going to work together, trying to get their goal of winning the title. And more likely, they'll just have Cena go over in this case. But, we'll see where they go with that. And see how the story actually builds up. But that's where I'm thinking that storyline's going to go. So overall, I felt Monday Night Raw was a fairly decent show. Obviously, the returns, the one that really didn't matter all that much with the Great Khali, and then the other ones that were, I felt, better returns with AJ Lee, Miz, and Jericho. Those were all, those three were really fun in there, fun returns in there. Obviously, them having the Divas title change hands was just like their little way of pulling the swerve like they did at WrestleMania, the night after WrestleMania, with Paige winning this time around. So, overall, I felt they did a fairly good job. Obviously, they made their main event for the pay-per-view, for the next pay-per-view, and it came off pretty decent this week. Some really fun matches, some different stories getting coming along, or being built up, or continuing on into the future. So we'll see where they go with everything, and that's my review this week for Monday Night Raw, and I thank you guys for watching.